friends. This is my second time trying to record this video. The first time, I got almost the whole way through, and my camera just shut off, and it didn't save anything that I talked about already, so... It's been a Monday. So anyway, I hope you all had a lovely weekend. Normally, I put these weekly updates up on Sunday. But have you ever had one of those weekends where you just don't feel like being presentable to the world, especially when you're going to put your face on the internet forever, or at least until you take it down? That was me this weekend. It wasn't a bad weekend. I just didn't feel like putting on makeup or doing my hair. So today, obviously, I had to go to work, so I had to fix my hair. And sometimes I don't put makeup on, but today I put some makeup on, so we're gonna try this again. And because it's been a Monday, and because my camera is acting like it hates me, we have a little bit of wine left from the first time I tried to film this. So grab a glass of wine or, tea if wine isn't your thing, and we'll just talk about some books. I'm only going to talk about books today because, well, number one, I don't know how much my camera is going to take. And number two, I just don't really have anything new to talk about crafting-wise. I will soon, I hope. So I'll put that in its own video, I think. So we'll have some knitting and some cross-stitch content in a separate video, I think, later in the week. So hopefully. We'll see. But anyway, let's talk about the books I read in the first week of June, even though I already did, but you didn't see that because my camera didn't save the footage. Yay. So, I read 2 books this week, which is not bad for the first week of the new month. I think I read 5 books total in the month of May. So, I finished 2 books already in the month of June. So, we're on track to be at least as many books as I read in May. So good. Unfortunately, the first book that I read was a dud. I have been reading the Canadian West series with my friend Berna from Berna's Bookish Adventures this entire year. And When Tomorrow Comes is the final book in the series. And sadly, it was a hot mess. I don't really know what happened in this book, but the ending it was just eh. I mean, it was fine. Now, I enjoyed the premise of this book. I think I felt a little bit better about it than Berna felt about it. The character in this book is Christine, who we met in the previous book, who is Elizabeth and Wynn's daughter, who are the main characters for the majority of the series. She had kind of her own book in the last book, but with her brother. And this book also follows both of them, but it focuses more on Christine, which I guess the last book did too. But, and this book is very dramatic. We'll just say that there are a lot of love interests in this book, and it gets too confusing. It was just too much. And then I did, however, Christina's very intent on getting back to the north where she was born and where she grew up for at least the beginning part of her life. But she's almost obsessed with that idea, and I don't know that she actually remembers the North the way it actually is. So she's kind of got this unrealistic desire to go back there. And it kind of colors everything else that she's got going in her current life. So the book is kind of being about it's kind of about being content where you are. Um, and that part of it I liked. I just didn't think it was necessarily executed that well. It didn't seem that she thought it out enough, or an editor didn't be like, hey, lady, take out some of these people, or something. Like, there was just a lot of different plot twists in this book that made it like real crazy. And yeah, it was a disappointment for the last book in the series. But that is not to say that you shouldn't read the rest of the series. I think you really should. Just maybe stop at this one. This is the last book in the. Well, I mean, read it. It's fine. But it's just not the best one in the series. I don't know. Let me know if you have ever read the Canadian West series, and what did you think of this last book? I was very meh about it. And I think Berna had some stronger feelings. But I was very like, okay, that's fine, whatever. But I was not very connected to anybody in this book. The other book that I finished this week was Heaven to Betsy, which I have been reading for a very long time, it seems. This is a reread for me, and I started this project at the beginning of the year with Kate Howe, where we were going to reread all of the Betsy Tacy books and do little discussion videos about it. Well, about March, we kind of dropped off the bandwagon on that one, and just some things in both of our lives came up, and we just stopped. And I was still kind of reading Heaven to Betsy, but just picking it up here and there, and kind of forgetting that I was reading it. So finally, Kate finished it, and I was like, oh, that means I better finish it. So I did finish it, and I'm glad I did, because it was just a joy, like they always are. And I'm not going to say anything else about it, because I just filmed my discussion portion of this book that I'm going to send on to Kate, and you should be seeing that video in the very near future. So hopefully. So yeah, that was book number 2. Now, I did have one DNF this week, and that is Lark Rise by Flora Thompson. This was the group read for Pastoral June, which is hosted by my friend Angie at Literary Labors and Summer from Cozy Reading with Quaker Cats. And I was sort of enjoying it at first. It's a very slow, very pastoral, which goes with the theme. And it was kind of giving me Cranford vibes. Cranford from Elizabeth Gaskell, who I love, and whose books I love. But it also was very melancholy. It was not humorous like Cranford is. And there were a lot of kind of graphic scenes of farm life that I just wasn't here for. And I found myself not wanting to pick it up. I mean, I was listening to it on audiobook, but I didn't go for that. Whenever I was like, I should be able to get through this pretty quickly, but I just didn't really feel like reading it. And the Voxer group was like moving right along and kind of leaving me in the dust, which, I mean, I wasn't reading it, so it's not their fault. But I finally was just like, you know what, I'm probably not going to read this, and I don't want to get bogged down. So I just told the ladies that I was going to drop out of this one, and I might go back to read this again someday. Maybe this just wasn't the right time for this book for me. But yeah, my first DNF of the month. I'm getting better, though, about DNFing books when I'm not into them. I kind of had a problem with that in the past. Like, if it was on my TBR, I was going to read it. And now I'm just kind of like, I'm not really into that. Let's move on to something else. So, which is probably a better way to live. So, what am I reading now, you might say? Well, I have started Les Miserables by Victor Hugo. I don't know why I always have to think about that. I know who wrote this. But anyway, this is kind of chunky. I'm buddy reading this with my friend Felicia from Little Prairie Library, who also coincidentally bought me this book for my birthday. um, Unfortunately for me, I had said I wanted to like actually read this with my eyeballs, but I started off reading it via audiobook. So, but that just is the way it kind of worked out with my schedule this year, or this week. And it's fine though. I mean, I think I'm only through like the first part in this the first book in this first part. It's kind of organized a little strangely, but basically it's the first chapter, and I'm only through the first chapter. So I think that I will try reading the second chapter with my eyeballs, and I think Felicia isn't quite done with it either, so I probably have some time to read it with my eyeballs. So far, it is quite dense. I'm not gonna lie, it's quite dense. And we're following a priest who I honestly don't remember being in the overall plot of Les Mis, but I am also basing it off of the musical, so maybe that's different. So we shall see. But yeah, it's quite dense, but I enjoyed the section that I listened to. I enjoy the priest character and what he gets up to. But I'm kind of wondering where our main characters are going to pop into the story. So we'll have to continue to read to find out. Man, it is really, really hot in my office right now. I am sweating a lot. So if I'm glistening, because I'm dying. So anyway, the second book that I am currently reading this week is The Wreath, which is the first part of the Kristin Lavransdatter trilogy that is written by Sigrid Undstad. Undstad? I forget how you say it. A Norwegian author, so this is a translated work. And the first part of the Kristin Lavransdatter book is called The Wreath. And this follows, you guessed it, Kristin Lavransdatter in the 1300s in Norway. And it just pretty much is going through her life. And so far, I'm finding it really, really interesting. Her relationship with her father at the beginning, right now she's a child and kind of hitting the marriageable age. And I am really enjoying her relationship with her father. We're getting into some scandalous things that are happening with her, and it's very intriguing. So I'm excited to see where the rest of the book goes. I am buddy reading this with my friend Danny from Spinelli Speaks and Jeanette Paulson, who is a lovely commenter. So yeah, I think we're enjoying it so far. So we just had our first check-in. And it just shut off again. Yay. But the good thing is, I noticed when I went back to check to see if it had saved, that it did save, and miraculously, my first version of this saved. So I didn't need to redo this entire video. But I did. So, whatever. I only have one more book that I just started today to tell you about. So I started for the Categorically Romance readathon that is hosted by my friends Sarah from the Bookish Knitter and Bree from Falling for Romance on Instagram. I started reading his Second Chance Family by Rayanne Thane for this readathon. And I have never read a Rayanne Thane, but Sarah absolutely raves about her and thinks I'll love her. So I definitely wanted to give her a try, and I found a couple of her books that would work for this readathon on Scribd, and I started it today. So I really don't have anything to say about it yet. I didn't get very far into it, unfortunately, but I'm hoping to get it done probably tomorrow, let's be honest, because I'm listening to it on audiobook, and romance books are pretty fast. So I think I will get it done pretty quickly. But it definitely seems like it'll be a like a well, definitely a second chance romance. And there seems to be there it is a widow who has two small children. One of them appears to be sick in some way, and she's moving back to her hometown, and she kind of meets an old flame there, and he has changed and become grumpy. And yeah, that's all I know so far. So, but it seems like it will be really cute. So, especially with the little kids in there, I'm sure it will be adorable. So, but yeah, that's all the reading that I'm currently doing. I did want to tell those of you who are interested in this kind of thing about the Daily Grace Company Bible studies that I picked up a couple of weeks ago. I started the James study this week, and so far I am really, really liking it. If if you know anything about the book of James, you know that it is very, very convicting. And for somebody who is kind of cynical and bitter, uh, it is very convicting. And the questions that they ask me in this book, I'm like, I don't want to answer that. I don't know what to say. So it's definitely not like a fluffy, just a pretty book kind of a thing. It is pretty, but it definitely has some good content in it. So far, after the first week of the study, I'm able to recommend this. I think it is very good. So if you are interested in this kind of thing, I would highly recommend checking out Daily Grace Co. And I will link their site below, because I've only been kind of subscribed to them for, a couple weeks since I bought these, and they've already had like 3 sales. So, and I have resisted buying anything else. I don't know how long I'll be able to keep that up, but I at least want to get through one of the 3 studies that I bought before I go buying anymore. So, but yeah, that is my review of this Bible study. Okay, so I made it through a glass of wine, and I think I made it through the video. I thought this was going to be a short one, and then all the mess ups that my camera is having is probably going to make it long. So we'll see what we can do. But anyway, friends, I hope that you have a great week, and I will see you in probably a crafty video coming up in a few days. So, all right. Cheers. Bye.